Good evening, Trump family. Welcome to Open Source News. Have a good night, everyone, and God bless you. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on that notifications bell so you don't miss a thing. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news. And if you stayed up into the wee morning hours of today, you will now know that Kevin McCarthy has been elected Speaker of the House for the Republican majority. And it was a battle. It went all the way to the 14th ballot of him being on ballot to secure enough votes in order to do so. The biggest holdouts, of course, were Matt Gaetz, Lauren Barber, and others, as they were pushing to get concessions from the Speaker to ensure that there were going to be investigations into the FBI, church-style investigations, and possibly holding these areas accountable. But the person who was mostly upset by the whole ordeal, the whole thing go into 14th balance, was none other than Rhino himself, Dan Crenshaw, who was pictured with bloody knuckles, and one of the pictures, the dude was probably losing his mind if you had been following this for the last few days. You know, he was going nuts on cable news. He was calling the 20 Republicans who are holding out terrorists, and they were calling them Al-Qaeda or Taliban, the Taliban Republicans. Dude who works for the WEF, who his bosses call swabs, who continues to call and say, "Hey, Dan, we need to outlaw guns, you need to send more money to Ukraine." Dude was completely visibly upset. And then he was spotted with a bloody knuckles, more than likely go into the bathroom punching a wall because he was not getting his way. People like Matt Gaetz stood firm, and he is just driving him nuts. He could not control his anger. Absolute just a disgrace. I hopefully disguise this as his last term in Congress. Hopefully the people of Texas wake up and vote this dude out. So let's go and dive into what we have here. It says, what happened, Dan Crenshaw? What with his bloody hand in the house? Is someone punching the walls? Yeah. So we'll see this picture a little bit closer up here in just a second. But Dan Crenshaw speaks to Matt Gaetz on Friday night after calling him and terrorists. Crenshaw had quite a week. On Wednesday, Dan Crenshaw joined the Guy Benson show on Fox News Radio. Then, this was after McCarthy had already lost a vote for Speaker for the 6th time. During the interview, Crenshaw referred to the 20 Republicans challenging the establishment as terrorist. Alright. This comment was hit with Democrats, GOP elites, DC swamp DC lobbyists. It did not go over so well with conservative and Republican voters. It was a stressful week for Dan, and it didn't take in. He didn't take it well. On Friday night, Representative Crenshaw walked over to speak with Matt Gaetz, a terrorist, following another failed vote for McCarthy. Astute observers noticed Dan's bloody hand. Dude has some anger issues, Mr. Eyepatch McCain. Maybe it's been said so many times. He was so angry with the term Eyepatch McCain, he started hitting the bathroom wall, reminiscence of Walter White going into the bathroom and slamming his hand against the paper towel dispenser or the metal mirror in that bathroom, and bloody in his hand up reminds me the exact same thing what Dan Crenshaw probably did. What happened to Dan Crenshaw? Look at this. Check out his hand, dude. He was punching something. Right. So once said, if Dan Crenshaw is actually punching walls in the Capitol, I hope he knocks it off. Taxpayers will be forced to pay for those repairs. Absolutely. Here's another shot of his bloody hands. Dan is having a rough week. Dan Bongino says nobody is holding you hostage. You're free to leave at any time. This is a republic. And this is the process moved to North Korea if you prefer a coordination. Talking about Dan Crenshaw after he made this remarks. Right now a handful Republicans are holding us hostage from completing our mission serving our country. Let's hope that changes soon and we can start taking the fight to Democrats where it belongs. Says, I used to have a ton of respect for Crenshaw. I thought he would do great things, but I used to think Larry Hogan would do great things too. Funny how they start bow and fishing in the swamp and disappear into the abyss and become the swamp. Absolutely. So give me your theories of what you think took place with Dan Crenshaw. His hand over here? Was he in the bathroom hitting the walls, or was he maybe beating up some staffers? And then, some significant news. Appeals court strikes down bump stock ban in 13-3 decision. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit headed down a 13-3 decision on Friday, striking down the regulatory gun control that banned bump stocks under President Donald Trump. Reports say that the court implied that actions on guns should be taken by Congress rather than the executive branch. Circuit Judge Jennifer Walker Ilrod wrote the majority opinion for the Fifth Circuit, and also opinion that framers of the bump stop did not provide, quote, Fair warning that possession of a non-mechanical bump stock is a crime. In December of 2018, the ATF finalized the language of its bump stock ban and gave people 90 days to hand the firearm accessories over. The DOJ's summary of the ban says the bump stock allows the trigger of a semi-automatic firearm to reset between the firing of each round, but describes the bump stop-equipped semi-automatic firearm as a self-acting or self-regulating and therefore a machine gun. Arkansas courts could force Hunter Biden to reveal anonymous artwork. Buyers in Arkansas courts could force Hunter Biden to reveal the anonymous buyers of his artwork. According to court documents, Hunter has been working with a well-connected Chinese art dealer George Burgess to sell paintings to anonymous buyers for up to $500,000. Hunter has reportedly sold at least 5 pieces of art for $75,000 each. One of his reported paintings hangs in Jill Biden's White House office. The sales raise concerns that Hunter is peddling influence to Joe Biden through anonymous sales. Representative James Comer said he believes Chinese officials have purchased Hunter's art. Hunter might have to reveal who has bought his art because child support payments are being renegotiated between Hunter and the mother of Hunter's illegitimate child. The mother of Hunter's biological son formally requested the Biden son disc. Child support is often calculated based on the income of both parents. Quotes. The plaintiff asked for detailed information about the defendant's works of art and the purchasers of the same. The mother's attorney petitioned the court on December 27. If Hunter sold paintings worth thousands of dollars, Hunter's former request to reduce child support payments could conflict with his substantial art sales. It is likely that Hunter is fighting to claim amid his additional legal trouble with the DOJ and congressional probes. Legal experts estimate Hunter's legal costs for fighting both institutions could amount to up to $100,000 per month. It is not known how Hunter can afford such fees month after month. Adam Thompson, a prominent artist from Miami, said he believes Hunter's art has been sold to anonymous buyers who wants to influence the White House. Quote, if someone genuinely wanted art like Hunter's, they could go to any rehab facility in the United States that does art therapy and find something of equal or even higher quality. He said. He continues, quote, the only value beyond that is the bribe, and only a truly disgusting and corrupt person would display that in their home. DeSantis activates National Guard to take on migration crisis. Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis on Friday announced that he would activate the state's National Guard to help the federal government address the rising tide of illegal migrants entering the nation through the Florida Keys. The islands provide a critical landing point for many migrants traveling to the United States via the Caribbean Sea. DeSantis in his order directed the National Guard, state law enforcement and other agencies to provide resources in support of local governments responding to the alarming influx of migrants landing in the Florida Keys and providing additional support towards efforts to prevent further migrant landings on Florida shores. Quote, as the negative impacts of Biden's lawless immigration policies continue unabated, the burden of the Biden administration's failure falls on local law enforcement who lack the resources to deal with the crisis, DeSantis said in a press release. It continues, quote, that is why I'm activating the National Guard and directing state resources to help alleviate the strain on local resources. When Biden continues to ignore his legal responsibilities, we will step up in support of our communities. Authorities have encountered more than 8,000 migrants in waters off the Floridian coast since August of just last year. The announcement observed it further highlighted that January 1 of this year instances of mass landings, including one in which 300 illegal aliens entered the driver to the U.S. National Park, and another in which 45 entered Key West. Joe Biden's Department of Homeland Security detainees fewer than 0.2% of all illegal aliens living across the United States. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement year-end report shows that the Department of Homeland Security is holding just 26,299 illegal aliens in its custody, more than 18,000 of which are recently arrived border crossers arrested by Customs and Border Protection agents, while the remaining 7.71 thousand are illegal aliens who were arrested by ICE agents. Of those illegal aliens detained by the Department of Homeland Security, more than 8,000 to have final deportation orders. While 18.21 thousand have not yet been ordered deported from the United States by a federal immigration judge, the tiny population of illegal aliens detained by the Department of Homeland Security is less than 0.2% of the nation's entire illegal alien population, which the Federation for American Immigration Reform or FAIR estimates to be roughly 15.5 million persons as of just last year, if based on Yale University and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology 2018 analysis estimated that there are at least 22 million illegal aliens living in the United States among American communities. Biden's DHS is attaining just 0.1% of the overall alien population. Meanwhile, there are more than 1.2 million fugitive illegal aliens, those with final deportation orders living across the United States who have not been located by ICE agents and have refused to self-deport. The figure suggests that the number of fugitive illegal aliens with final deportation orders living across the United States is more than twice the population of the state of Wyoming. And total the number of illegal aliens living in American communities who have either filed deportation orders or pending deportation orders reached nearly 4.8 million people in fiscal year 2022. Under Biden, in nearly 100% increase since fiscal year 2017. Federal court or South Carolina to redraw congressional maps over gerrymandering. The South Carolina state legislature must redraw its congressional district maps after a 3-judge panel determined that the state's first congressional district had been drawn to dilute the number of black voters, quote, after carefully weighing the totality of evidence in the record and credibility of witnesses. The court finds that race was the predominant motivating factor in the General Assembly's design of Congressional District No. 1, and that traditional districting principles are subordinated to race. Row 3 Democrat-appointed federal judges. The judges further barred elections in the district until the creation of a new map, which lawmakers now have until March 31 to submit. Alright, guys, that is my thoughts on this post. I want to hear what you have to think in the comments below. So please do. So if you want to support the show, and as always, I will see you